Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my going partner, Anthony. It is a judo podcast for your judo players by two judo players. So today we have a very special episode. We're going to talk about the AJDM again, but it's not just me and Anthony talking about it. Today we're going to have three special guests.
I know people are sick of hearing about it, but this is actually a really good interview. So
I think it's a great interview because we actually have the guys that help build it, help make it, come discuss it, talk about how it came about, and talk about what they want from it and what's it for. So today we have Larry Tsutsui that's representing USJF, and then we're going to have Brian Olson representing USA Judo, and then Chima Singh, that's how you pronounce the name, I hope that's correct, representing USJA. So without any further ado, let's go to the interview. Hello, everybody. So today we have the three members of a USA Judo, USJF, and a USJA that each helped create the AJDM. So just to start off with, can you guys introduce yourselves to our audience of like how you guys got into martial arts and how you guys got into judo?
Let's start with Larry. Yeah.
So my position, I'm the coach development chair for the United States Judo Federation. I started judo when I was 10 years old. My dad just one day took two of my sisters and I, and we showed up at a judo club. And after a few months, they quit, but nobody told me I could quit. So I kept going, and here I am today.
Fantastic. And what dojo do you're at a Fresno Judo, right? That's right. Your dojo, sir? I'm
the Fresno Judo Club head instructor.
You guys do a great job on your social media advertising, by the way. Like I see it everywhere. It's awesome.
Thank you. That's credit to my daughters, not to me.
And Chima, could you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. I'm the USJA coaching chair, and I've been in judo since I was 6 years old. I started off in England, did judo around Europe and England, then moved to Canada, did judo in Canada. Then I moved to sunny Texas where it's snowing today 42 years ago. And I've been here ever since and I haven't left. My passion and love for judo has been mostly in Texas, but I try and do whatever I can with judo in whichever capacity I can. So that's been my driving force.
That's great. That's great. And Brian, yourself?
So Brian Olson. So I'm one of the representatives for USA Judo to the task force that was initially formed to start the AJDM. So started judo at the age of 6. My dad had been in the military, seen it in Korea. There happened to be a small judo program, I would say, in my small town of like 1,000 people. That's kind of where I started and just kind of took it from there and later. And then many international trips and many international competitions led to 4 Olympic Games and countless how many world championship teams and a world medal and stuff. So long career within the sport. So
fantastic. So let's just get down to it. So we're here today to talk about the AJDM. A lot of people have questions about it, what it is, what's it about and stuff. So what is the goal, or what was the goal in creating the AJDM from all three federations coming together to create one system?
So the primary goal, I think, of the AJDM is to raise awareness of our sport of judo in the United States and to also increase participation. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee pretty much wants all sports to have a athlete development model because there's been a decrease in participation of sports of children. And so the big question they had is, where are our future athletes going to come from? And, we all know that judo, our numbers aren't that great, and we need to do something to grow the numbers. So this was a perfect opportunity for all three organizations to work together on this.
And if I can piggyback off that as well, the one thing that, we worked with a lot of other sports when we first started the task force, we heard from a lot of other sports that have actually gone through creating a development model for their sports. The changes, well, first of all, the things that they were going through, the hardships of where they're seeing, and what we're seeing is they're losing athletes and participation at a certain age range, which is very similar. And you saw that across the board for all the sports. So it's also a retention tool to be able to help keep our athletes involved in the sports through those certain age ranges. That would give us the opportunity to hopefully have athletes down the line, or to create an athlete down the line.
Okay. Mr. Singh, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I think Brian covered it very well, and so did Larry. The only thing I'd like to add to it is that the AJDM or the AJDM model has been used in many sports throughout different countries for many years. Prior to the U.S. getting on board with this, and it's proven to be successful in all the areas that Brian and Larry have identified. The one additional thing that I will identify is that it goes beyond the sport and its immediate proponents, that's the athletes. It adds another dimension that parents and volunteers who support the sport can also participate in. So it's an all-encompassing model.
Yeah, I think I mentioned in a previous episode that I've been researching other development models in other countries. Like they post their stuff publicly online, and it matches what you guys have like really closely. So it's definitely a proven model. But hopefully it works. So.
Well, that's the hope that this promotes judo more. And that's how I saw it too when I first saw that. It's starting to help promote judo for people that don't know. To me, like I always say this before, and I don't mean to criticize, some people take it as one, but it's stuff that you already hear already. If you go to the national coaches meeting, or if you go to like any of the IGF ones, you watch those videos, it's all the same stuff you're gonna hear over and over and over. But I think it's more public now that more people can reach to it, And I think it helps people that don't have guidance in how to teach the children or even teach adults to help bring it out to people. That was my take from when I first read it and looked at it.
Right. And it's to give them a platform. So many people are looking for something tangible to be able to have. Maybe they're not using it in its 100% entirety, but they're taking pieces of it that helps them to grow from where they're at and in their community and so forth. So it's just really designed to really try and just help grow and retain and build the martial art.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And as we know that throughout our careers, we move from place to place, state to state, college to high school to college, etc. It gives you a methodology that is, that can be used and glue those different pieces together. So, there's continuity.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to clarify, the American Judo Development Model, there's 4 parts to it. And the first part was the document that's on the American Judo Development Model website. And there's 2 different committees. And so Brian was on the task force that worked on the actual AJDM document. And Chima and I were on the other task force, which is the coach task force. And so the Foundations of Coaching video program or online program, that's just the second part of the model. And then the next part is a live seminar where what we want is we want to try to improve the way we're teaching beginners judo so that they'll stick with it. Because that's the number one thing is people start with judo, but in less than 2 years or 2.5 years, they quit. So we want to have a system where teaching judo, it's more fun, teaching good fundamentals. And then the fourth part is it's called the resources, and that's on the website. And that we're really working on. That's on. This whole thing is an ongoing project, but the resources, if you go and look there, we're putting together resources for coaches and people in judo.
That's good. So it's an evolving thing. It's not just always stagnant. I can just create one book and that's the book. It's going to evolve each year, or as you see things get fixed.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, who was involved in creating the AJDM? So I see that you had 2 different groups doing it. One for like the kind of like the paperwork, and then one for the actual activity. It sounded like is that correct?
So for the original task force, So, we had representatives from both USJF, USJA, and then USA Judo as well. For USA Judo, it was Ed Liddy and myself. For the JA, it was Salita Schultz and Jason Morris. And then it was Roy Karaji and Denny Kikuchi for the USJF. So, and then, we had some initial help from the U.S. Olympic Committee as well. They've given some I would say some guidance and some different people on that committee to help us through it, as well as Keith Bryant. So the CEO for USA Judo has also been in part of it to kind of help with guidance and stuff like that on certain areas where he can also work with the other presidents of USJA and USJF as well. So, but that initial task force was 2 representatives from each organization.
Okay, interesting.
We were very fortunate, if I may add something to what Brian said, we were very fortunate to have the caliber of people that was the initial task force. I was very pleased to see that, people who had succeeded at this sport and brought light to it and brought it to the front were the ones who were leading this. And that was really very inspirational for the rest of us to get involved and also see what we could do to support it.
Yeah, people in the online community was really excited when you guys first announced this like 2 to 3 years ago, and they saw all these people are working on it. They were really looking forward to this being the solution to the decline of judo in the United States. So I'm looking forward to how it this evolves. You did mention about a live seminar being part of it. I'm sure the pandemic kind of threw a wrench in those plans. But is there a plan for the rollout for that initially? Because one of the major complaints that a lot of people have about grading and getting coaching certified is they have to travel hundreds of miles or even thousands to get to the nearest seminar or clinic to take these courses.
Can we back up for 1 second? So
sure.
Again, there's 2 committees, and I just want to mention who's on the coach committee.
Okay.
So on the coach committee, representing USJA is Chima, and then Steve Cohen, and representing USA Judo was Pat Burris and Ari Miller, and for USJF was Keith Watanabe and myself.
Okay.
So
now, when you guys have all these coaches together, like this might go into a little too deep right now, but was it tough getting everybody together? Because you see how it is nowadays with Zoom meetings and how it is. Was it tough getting everybody together and to agree and talk about what you guys want to get into this, what you guys don't think needs to be done at first? Was that a little complicated, let's say?
If I may, the presidents of the 3 organizations really helped to gel this together initially, coming to an agreement where the 3 organizations could actually talk to each other. Then they settled on representatives from each organization getting together. And I think, as you mentioned, initially all this was done by a conference call, but then the coaches task force got together just the same way that the foundational task force got together. And we spent 3 days, I've forgotten how many, it was a long days. And one day went into another. And certainly there were a lot of things we needed to work out. As you know, American Judo has evolved in a particular way. And just to get an understanding where we could work together, that was a really big part of it. Luckily, everybody who was on the task force really worked hard to get towards that end. And I think, fortuitously, that's where we got to it.
And I would concur with that, with the first task force as well, like our original task force members. For me, I've been on Olympic teams with and a lot of trips with both Jason and Salita. Obviously, my relationship with Eddie, and I've known Danny and Roy since I was a kid, right? So, but I think the one thing that really stood out was the ability to take off our hat regardless of what organization we were, and really just kind of come together and say, listen, the end goal here is judo as a martial arts. How can we help grow that and so forth. And I think, especially for our task force, we did a very, very good job of, not worrying about the organization, but that wasn't our first thing. Our first thing was, okay, what do we have to do? Because all three organizations are seeing the same thing, the same decline. So it was, okay, how can we battle that? And what do we need to do? And I would say we've come together very, very well, and we've gelled together very, very well to be able to do that and to create something and start something that will continually evolve, which is great.
Okay. Now, when you guys said you guys got the coaches all together, because everybody initially talked and stuff on conference call, you got together. Do you guys actually get together on the mat, or like, okay, I feel these uchikomis work more than this, or this technique practice works better than this technique practice? Was it mat time, or was it just discussion?
So we did have face-to-face meetings. The foundational task force, their meeting, I think, was June 2018 at Colorado Springs, and the coach task force, we met in August of 2019 in Colorado Springs. So we didn't have a mat, but we did touch each other and do some demonstrations in a conference room.
We're judo players. That's how we are. That's how we say hi to each other. That's how we say hi. We hi with a bear hug or a collar and elbow grip. Hey, how you doing?
But, thank goodness Chima didn't slam me on the floor. So that was good. But yeah, we did.
Good control,
we
sir.
met face to face. And then after that, we have phone conferences, and we've had a Zoom meeting when we needed to see things. The pandemic has really, like you already said, interfered with the live seminar. And you asked about plans for the live seminar. So the initial plan is we want to have what we call train the trainers, where we train other people geographically around the country how to teach this program. And then once they're trained, they teach others the program. But of course, that's on hold. In every meeting, we talk about where are we with COVID. And
yes,
I think now, we never expected it to go this long. Who would have thought? It's just going on and on and on. So actually, now we're starting to talk, do we need to do something online? And then if we do something online and people pay for the online program, that'll also include attending the live program when we can go live. So yeah, we're getting antsy as far as rolling out the live seminar. So we're discussing that right now. How are we going to do that?
Okay, that's great.
I think that addresses Anthony's question that he asked earlier on, which is how do we get to people geographically close so that we can we can all avail this. So that's the strategy we're going to try and follow.
That's kind of how BJJ does it, right? They train like blue belts, purple belts to go around and teach other people, and that's how they grow. So I think that's actually a really good idea, and hopefully the vaccine works and we can start doing that. So,
right. So when the initial thing got rolled out, I know a lot of people had questions and there was not a lot of answers, but that happens with anything gets rolled out at first. People are going to bring up something and you're going to be like, shit, I didn't think about that. Is that a problem when you guys first opened up? Because I know like there's people asking about like, why wasn't there something laid out already? Like, wasn't there forms already for people? What was it that
originally when you guys announced it, you guys had a Zoom meeting, and I didn't attend it because I had work that day. But some other people like Dave Roman, I'm not sure if you guys did an interview with him. He mentioned he sat in a meeting, and a lot of the key members that you guys mentioned did not attend the meeting, and there was no outline, so people didn't know what the program was about. And then after many people brought it up, you guys added an outline. So I was just wondering what's going on there.
Yeah, so as far as the Zoom meeting that we did, we had about 70 people attend it, which was really nice. But the way we did it, we sort of broke it up into the two groups, and we wanted representative from each organization, which we have two from each organization. So that's why not everyone was there, because we had a limited amount of time. We were trying to do this within an hour, and Brian could probably answer better. He was our MC
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we wanted to keep it on track, and we wanted to try and get as many things answered as possible. The reality is when you put so many people like from the committee on there, rabbit holes tend to happen. So we were trying to keep it very succinct with our group, and there was a representative. I was asked to do it, and then obviously, so it was just a way that we could keep it on track, get as many questions answered as possible, try to get as much information out as possible where we could keep it. Because I think it was like an hour, right? It was right at an hour, and there was just so much information to go through, and we just wanted to get it out there, right? And at least get something started, right? I think that was the biggest thing. I think there was a notion that people thought we were going to come with like this big thing that we were just going to be like here, and not realize that,
like the whole packet already.
Right, exactly.
We wanted everything.
And we were just at this stage, and we wanted to get something out to everyone and so forth. And I think we had a lot of key learnings from that as well. Mm-hmm. I think people, we've been doing a lot of work on it, and we want people to know that we take it very seriously. And there's so much that has gone into it. And within an hour, if you veer off, it just becomes a little bit tough. So we just wanted to kind of keep it on point. We wanted to get something out there. We wanted to get the conversation started. We just really wanted to really kind of start the process, I guess. And that's kind of why we did it the way we did it.
Okay. No, I understand. Like what you said, when you first bring something out, someone's gonna come with a question you didn't think about, or you just overlooked. Correct. You're like, well, I thought you could figure that on your own. I don't want to be mean sometimes, but you think of that, you're like sure. That's a simple question, something else. So going back to creating this packet of creating everything, who came up with the idea of the AJDM? What was it? I'm not going to interview like it's some USJA, USJF, which federation, but who came up like, you want to know, guys, we need to get together and come up with something?
Just from my understanding, I think I knew it was something that the Olympic Committee that was heavy on their plate, right? It's something they want all their national governing bodies to have, and you're seeing it across the board. Like I said before, you're seeing it in swimming, you're seeing it in hockey, you're seeing it in archery, you're seeing it in gymnastics, you're seeing it in all these sports. So it's a big task for the US OPC, right? So it's changed now. So being correct. So I believe it was an initiative that started, my understanding, through Keith Bryant, because it was such a heavy initiative from the US OPC. And then he started the discussions around, hey, I want to bring in all the organizations together. I want to start working this. So it's judo for the whole, right? And so forth. And we know, I would say in the past, the three organizations have not had a very spectacular working relationship in a lot of different areas, right? So I think it was a way of saying, hey, listen, this is judo on the whole, is something that we all need. So we want to bring everyone under and really try and make something work that works great for all of us to have access to.
That's what I like this, because they did bring everybody together to create one judo program. It's like, hey, we all agree with this. We all agree that kids should be doing this. We all agree the adults should be here. That's what I liked about it. It's not just, everybody's going to teach their own way. That's just how it is. We all have our own styles of teaching,
Sure.
That's how it is. My dojo is different than your dojo to your dojo. So I like it that there's this, because we can't all follow the same books, but this gives us a nice outline. That's why I keep telling people when they ask you about it, it's a great outline of what you should be doing.
Yes.
Now, gentlemen, do you have anything else to add about that, about how it came, like when it got brought up or anything?
Well, so athlete development models, they have been around for a long time. Started in Canada 20 years ago, I think. Chima would know better. And USA Hockey, they've had it for 10 years. They've been very successful with it. Their sport is growing. Their retention is phenomenal. And I believe the USOPC had a conference, it was either 3 or 4 years ago, where they discussed with the national governing bodies having athlete development models. And so I think that's where it's sparked for USA Judo.
There's also a lot of exchange between the countries now. A lot of our elite athletes are going are partnering with other countries, etc., and they're seeing how their models work. And Brian and the rest of the people who are at that level can attest to that. We just from a lower level. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, no, and I would say, when this whole thing kicked off, the USOPC, had a group that came together in our first initial meeting where we sat through for, I think it was 2.5 days. We sat through and we just started going through everything of an outline of how they've taken other NGBs through it. And they did a lot of research on the other countries and their development models, and Canada, the Netherlands. And we tried to get as much information as we could from the different countries and really learn from them as well. So, and like you said, Anthony, you can go on there and pretty much pull it from their websites and stuff like that. It's out there, right? So, but other countries are learning from each other, and we were trying to follow suit with that.
Pardon me if this question is a little blunt, but one of our listeners actually brought it up long time ago. Was if you can actually pull this from other countries, why did it take 2 years for you guys to get this out the door?
I'll say this. I mean, obviously we know what's happened this year, and that in itself right there put a tremendous strain. There's some of us on the committee that were directly affected by the whole pandemic. And so that life thing took over. But I think from where we were starting was, we had a foundation, but you're talking about 3 organizations of trying to bring them together. And so there was a lot of meetings, a lot of calls and so forth. And some of those calls where we have to go back to the presidents and we have to make sure we're working through the organizational process as well. So it's just not like, hey, I can make a decision and go with it, right? We have to think about everyone and the whole. Yeah. And we have to get input back from the presidents, because at the end of the day, when this goes out to its members and so forth, it's going to affect, right? It's going to affect all the different organizations in a different way. So there's just, it has to go through a process, and it's
bureaucracy is the short answer.
It's not right. We have to make sure that we're humming on all cylinders, and we want a good working relationship between the 3 organizations. And I think there was a lot of, even within the organizations, there was a lot of questions that still had not been answered. And that tendency has to come back around when we get to a certain level. Then they're like, oh, wait, hold on. Then a lot more questions happen. And sometimes it slows that process down for us and so forth. Now, we've always been pushing as fast and as hard as we can, right? But there are certain things that just take time. When the coaching task force was put together, that whole filming side takes time, right? So it's just, I would say that we started raw. We started from the ground up, and we've built something, and where we're at, I think is a phenomenal place. I mean, considering the relationships of where we've been in with the 3 organizations in the past, we've really come together and we've gotten to a good place. And this thing is going to continually evolve, and it will ramp up, right? The hardest point at the beginning is creating the foundation. And then once you start building that momentum, then it starts to take shape a little bit faster. And it just took a lot to build that foundation. And then unfortunately, we ran into the pandemic, and that had a tendency to slow down a lot of things. It was more about survival and a lot of things, myself and some others and stuff like that, about business and stuff. And it slowed us down a little bit in that regards. So, yeah.
At any point, have they ever considered giving the task force, like with representatives from each organization, like autonomous control without having to deal with the bureaucracy? Because a lot of tech companies struggle with the same issue, is bureaucracy holding them back, and they would go like, here's some money, solve the problem as fast as possible. Without,
I think the biggest thing there, and Larry, you and Chima can chime in on this, but I think for us, the most important thing is we want buy-in, right? We don't want to just go out and create something and then just say, here it is, right? We want people to understand the process of through what we're doing and so forth. And we want buy-in, because If not, then we've just given you something and you may take it and just throw it out the window. But if you're involved through the process, and if you're seeing the process and you're seeing the steps of what we're taking, we want that buy-in from the organizations. We want a good working relationship between all three organizations that gets everyone on board. So as we grow and as this thing evolves, it really just gives us the ability to really maybe down the line earn some of that autonomous. Maybe they're going to say like, wow, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Okay, we want you guys to take it and kind of run with it more. But I think to say here it is, and just go with it. We weren't there yet in our relationship with each other. I think we had to earn and we had to show, and we wanted people to see that we were working together and working for judo, versus, maybe I've got my thoughts, you've got your thoughts, she's got her thoughts, whatever it may be. And when we're doing that, I think we're doing that. You're seeing a lot of great cooperation, a lot of great communication. And really, I think the best thing about it is, and I'll just say this personally, I don't see any egos. Mm-hmm. I don't. I see everyone saying, we're trying to grow judo. We're trying to raise it up. And that's our foremost thing. And I think that's probably one of the most beautiful things that I've seen from this committee and these task force.
Yeah, I think everyone in the committee has access to the more direct view of how dire the situation is in America. So versus your average judoka probably doesn't know how bad the numbers are. Right.
Well, Chima, please, you guys jump in. I mean, if I don't want to hog the thing, so
No. You're doing great. The only thing I'd like to add, and then you quote most of it there, is that there is a traditional level of type of learning and teaching that each individual dojo sensei has developed over the years. When you try and mesh that up with AJDM, it's challenged them a little bit beyond that. They have to get into a methodology versus a knowledge base, and those kind of learnings take time, understandably. But I think where we are at a point where we can accept that for the growth of judo, because we all love judo so much. All three organizations, there are great people in all three organizations. They cater to different grassroots, different elite, different traditions, different, all sorts of things. It's all there. And they could all benefit off each other. And that's what we're finding with this task force is, as we're moving forward, we can draw on each other and look at the strengths and also look at some of the weaknesses and see if we can shore those up. Larry?
Just to give you a little more perspective, again, the foundational task force, they really started in June of 2018 and working on the actual AJDM document. When they had something in writing, each organization president selected 10 people to review the document. And I was one of the 10. And so we were asked certain questions about it. And, so imagine 30 judo instructors trying to respond in a timely manner. Come on.
Yes.
So after they got all that information, then then we got to see it and review it. And, it got tweaked again. And once they pretty much had a firm document, that's when the coach tests started, because we needed the document to start our part. And on our part, again, there's 4 parts. So Chima was in charge of the foundational coaching program, which that was an existing fundamentals of coaching program that Chima modified for judo. And so that took a little work. I mean, if you would have seen the edits that Chima had made, it was pretty amazing. And so then it had to be re-recorded at certain points. And then we added documents that were judo oriented in the resources. And so our deadline was pretty much the end of December 31st, 2019 to get that foundations of coaching done. And I think it was pretty much done, Chima, in January of 2020?
January, just early January.
So that part was done in January 2020. The live seminar, that was my part. And so I still look at it and I keep tweaking it. I mean, and And again, the resources, we're still working. So by January 2020, we pretty much had a pretty good program set up. And then 2 months later, everything got shut down. So that's sort of the timeline. It really wasn't just 2018 because we started, the coach task force started in 2019, August of 2019. So for us to get something, by January of 2020, that wasn't bad. But, of course, you guys can't see that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear there wasn't a lot of pushback, that everybody's trying to work together to build something in here. Now, I did a little off. We didn't put this down, but you say you used something as a basis first. Which sport did you use as a base first? Was it like wrestling or boxing or something, another combat sport, or, well, what other sport did it? Because you came from the Olympic Committee, correct? You said?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the foundations of coaching, the version that we saw was sailing. And so, of course, we couldn't use that. So that's why.
Yeah, we don't got boats.
You want to comment on that, Chima?
Yeah, it was quite challenging to look at that. But also the similarities between the different sports was also very apparent. When you look at some of the techniques that are used to look at retention, information, to look at the fundamental teaching, etc., those kind of techniques are the same. What we had to do was to adapt it to judo. And luckily, the type of people we had on the task force had so many years of experience that we were able to really, whittle that down very quickly. I know I did the initial editing, but everybody, really put their part in and put their stamp on it as well. So, it was truly a team effort. And we enjoyed that because everyone from every organization really got into it.
Fantastic.
Sailing was, we had some, actually in the initial release, we still had some sailing quotes in there. When
was there like a boat in there or something? Or when you cast the main, what was that? What move is that?
You had to know port, starboard.
Starboard. Ty told you from starboard side? Which one? Which starboard? Don't tell me.
One of the things I want to say, though, as far as the foundations of coaching, and Chima sort of said it, it's good coaching principles. And people who've been coaching for a while should know these things. And if they take the program, hopefully it's not all brand new to them, and it won't be. But I think when you take a program like that, you need to look for the things you don't know, the things that are going to tweak your program to make your program better and better. It's hopefully it's not something that every coach needs because they don't know. We have good judo coaches out there, but we can all improve.
Oh, yeah. It's the old saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I like one part that I like in there is that for us, you guys know Sensei Philippe, we do a lot of fitness at Hollywood Judo. He has all these fitness things we do. But I've gone to other gyms where I visited and all they do is just uchikomis. And I've said, you guys do fitness? So like, not really. Fitness is just lifting up the other player to them. So I like into that you have fitness stuff for youths and for teens and adults that some coaches that don't know it, there's something for them to look at and look it up. Like, oh, okay, so what can I do? And then go on YouTube or any website nowadays and look up what can I do for judo for fitness. And with that, with the videos, Anthony actually took the video course. I didn't take it yet, but Anthony did. And the video course really didn't talk about judo at all. It seemed like it was just a standard video for another sport that we just slapped judo on top of it and put it out there. Was that what happened? Are we going to get a judo specific video in the future, hopefully?
Well, on the foundations of coaching, again, it's coaching principles, that apply across all sports. And it's from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And, like we said, Chima did tweak it as much as we could. The tweaking it, we were limited on what we could do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chima.
We were very constrained by what we could do because of resources, time frame. We were just under the gun the whole time. As this thing evolves and gets traction, you'll find that the quality will go up and it'll get very specific. But there won't be anything left in there that would steer you in the wrong direction. It may not be very sport specific, but it won't steer you in the wrong direction. It'll keep you on track for that.
Okay.
And we're also accountable to the foundational task force. Every time we bring something up, we have the likes of Brian and Jason and Salita, although they're looking at us. They're making sure that we're also we're also, moving in the right direction there.
That was when I took the course, that was a rough idea I got too. It was like, this is all good stuff. It just doesn't really mention judo specifically, but it's all basics that anyone could actually learn about coaching. So,
and I think that's a big thing, right? It's our starting point, right? It's what's there today is not going to be there, tomorrow, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be that evolution, and I think that was the beginning of the evolution, right? It's the start.
So when you developed this course, you mentioned like the instructors reviewing it and providing feedback. Have you gotten feedback from any other people, like non-instructors, potential instructors?
Absolutely. We've taken the course and we've had people review it. We requested people to give us very specific feedback, which we've taken action on. We have got a lot of feedback from 2 or 3 business type of environments in judo. We've got similar amount of feedback from the semi-business, recreational types, and then we had some from independent. So it's right across the board. But when you get into so much feedback, it's difficult to put that all together and see what you want to do with it. So we're taking it step by step.
To answer the earlier question you had about the outline, and Dave Roman had suggested that. The reason we didn't do the outline is because we never thought of it. And it was a great idea. And so that's the whole thing, right? We're all in this together. It was a great idea, so it was done. So actually, thanks to Dave, that was great feedback. And this is what Chima is saying too, is we are looking for feedback. So if you guys have some ideas, let us know.
I'm glad you guys are accepting the feedback and using that to build this thing to get it bigger for everybody, make it better for everybody. That's not just written in stone. This is how you train. This is how you do it. We gotta evolve. That's why I keep telling people all the time. We gotta evolve.
We're not know-it-alls, and we're part of the larger judo family, and everybody can contribute.
That's great.
So now that the course is released, have you gotten any feedback back from people who have taken the course, or is there any sort of feedback mechanism or gathering structure?
I'll start off, and I'm sure Larry can elaborate on this. The people who've taken that fell into 2 or 3 categories. Some that took the course all the way through, some that started the course and seemed to not finish it. We don't know for what reason. So our next step at the last meeting we had, which was just a couple of days ago, Friday, I think it was, we decided to have a 10-part questionnaire go out to everyone who took the course to give us their specific feedback. And then we're going to take action on it. But we were surprised that out of the people who took it, and I'll let Larry give the numbers, that 5, I think it was about 12 to 15% did not complete it. And Larry, I can't remember the numbers from that time. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I think the total who've taken it so far is 53.
Yeah.
And there were quite a few, who got right up to the end and then didn't finish. They had like 5 or 10% to go. But there were a few who just barely started, a few who were 50%. And so they were, we tried to contact them and see what was going on, if, why they had stopped. And the feedback we did get, people just said they got busy.
Yeah. I wouldn't take it personal. I wouldn't be like, oh man, they don't like our program. I would say just right now, we're not doing a lot of judo right now. Most of us are doing judo in the park or judo through Zoom, like we're talking right now. Like most of our members of our dojo, even though I renewed my membership this year to USJF. Most of our members I know haven't renewed anything. So I don't think it's just that. I want to see next year when the dojo start opening up again, when we start having tournaments again, start practicing. I want to see who's taking the class and who's finishing it, because that's when you're going to start needing it, I think.
I actually got a phone call from USA Judo while I was grocery shopping the other day, and I'm like, oh crap, did I say something on the podcast? Like,
my credit card declined. Oh no.
Now I'm thinking maybe they're asking me about the course, and now maybe I'll call them back. But so you mentioned the metrics already. Before you guys released the course, did you have like a bar set to this is what we consider this to be successful if we reached this amount of numbers? But like as Juan said already, we're not really doing judo right now and people are busy minding other matters. But did you have some sort of bar before all this happened?
Yes, we did. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Chima.
Yeah, yes, we did. We tried to put into each one of the phases that we were approaching or looking at, what would be a success metric. Now, it was just a wild guess at what these metrics would be. Some were very over aggressive, some weren't aggressive enough. We don't have enough feedback to be able to see, nor have we got enough feedback from everyone to be able to assess those. But yes, we did establish some success metrics.
Okay. Do you guys each think it was successful given the state of the world right now?
The biggest success, I think, and Brian sort of alluded to that earlier on, was the fact that all three organizations have come together. We're talking to each other. We believe we are doing the right thing for judo for all three organizations. And each in our own way believe that this is the path that we've got to continue on. So from that perspective, I think that was the biggest success. Now we want to get the various members who are participants of that organization to look at AJDM and see how they could incorporate parts of that. So we become the snowball starts growing and starts rolling down the hill.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Now, so we're talking about the pandemic's happening right now. We have things shut down. What's the future plan? I know we talked about it evolving. I know we're talking about classes. What is the future for the AJDM?
Well, again, that's where we're talking about, do we need to do something online? Put the introduction online or actually do some videos of what we would do in the live seminar. But again, we're just talking about that. We did take a little break for the holidays, and we're
we all did.
I think both groups. Well, we met like Chima said a couple of days ago, and then we're meeting again in 3 weeks. So it's not like we meet every week. We meet at least once a month, except for the holidays.
That's still good, I think. Once a month, still well. That's better than most people.
Well, and it's tough, I mean, we all have lives and things going on, families and everything. So, I mean, if I would say I was 100% attentive to every meeting, no, but the good thing is that's why we have that dual representation, right? So if one of us are not able to be there, the other one's able to pick up the slack and vice versa, and so forth, but I think, for us, it was funny for the success piece. I, like Chima said, we were discussing that on the meeting before we had the, before we broke for the holiday. And I would say it's definitely been a success with the state of the world of what's going on, with getting to where we are with the organizations working together and so forth. And we knew this was not going to be a sprint, right? This is going to be a marathon. It's going to continually evolve, and it's going to have to be that way to do it the right way, right? And to be able to create something. And then, I won't be on the task force forever. So the next person that succeeds me will have a base foundation to be able to take and then run with it to the next phase and so forth. So, but it's just been creating that stuff, and it's a marathon. It's so in the short term, I think it's still looking at the stuff that we're doing, that we have out there, trying to refine that. I think the biggest thing for us is to figure out from the coaching side is how can we get more people to complete that course, right? And to give us that feedback, so we're able to take that back and be able to makeshift it and evolve it to where we need. I think the long term stuff, what you'll see is you're going to start seeing more stuff on the marketing side. I think is something that we're looking at as well, because that's a big thing now, right? To how can we market properly? And I don't want to say make judo cool, right? But I want to be able, those types of marketing things to help bring people in, and then give the academies, the dojos, everything, the ability to have that tangible stuff that backs up that stuff. I can get someone in the door, but if I don't have the stuff, once they hit inside the door, that person's going to walk out and potentially go somewhere else, and so forth. So I think you're going to start seeing some business metrics that potentially will come through at some point, down the road. I think that's one of the next evolutions that we've talked about, and that we're talking about, and so forth from our side.
So that would all fall, the marketing side of that you're talking about would fall under an AJDM, the task force.
Yeah, right. Not sure. Honestly, not sure right now. But that's something that
it will evolve.
It'll evolve. And where that goes, it will come up to, I would say at that point, that's probably where it comes into, where the presidents come back into play, and so forth. We give them recommendations, guidance, and so forth. And then they come back to us, after it's been presented to them, and so forth. So I think you'll start seeing that, to have a development model that will continue to grow this way. But then we also got to have the other side that's coming up to kind of mesh with the two as well, and so forth. So, yeah. So I think you're going to start seeing things expand over time, and just grow.
I know me personally, I can't wait. Like, I like taking classes in person. I like going to seminars and talking to people. We're judo players, like getting our bodies into each other, into and stuff. So I want to take the class when you're actually doing a seminar. Videos, I would love to see some videos if you guys put them on YouTube or on the website or something of certain things that I can watch it. I'm not a big reader. I know, bad person. But, I read the pamphlet. I read the forms that you guys already have out there, but I really want to take the class, as in like doing it, seeing it and doing it. Now, with that, we talked a little bit about marketing, and there's something that came out a month ago now, Anthony? 2 months now?
Yeah. 2 months, yeah.
Was the American Judo system. And that's Jimmy Pedro now going on, doing his own program to teach and promote judo himself. What are your guys' takes on that? What do you guys think about him going off on his own?
I think if you look in any other martial art, there's people that do exactly that, right? They go out and they have their own system for how they do it. And that's Jimmy and Travis. Both Olympic medalists, and a very unbelievable career for both of them, and so forth. And they've done amazing things. So, it grows judo. If it grows judo and so forth, people can look at what they're providing and take from that. Hopefully that people look at what we're providing and take from that. At the end of the day, it's growing judo. That's what it's doing. I can go do seminars all over the country, and I'm growing judo. I have my own different system of how I do things. So, I think it's just something that grows judo in the end. And that's what Jimmy and Travis are doing, which is fantastic. And they're going to hopefully create something, and people are going to benefit from it. It grows judo.
I think it's a great thing, because my thing is, if it helps American Judo, go for it. But I think there is some differences. Our coach program is really foundational as far as teaching the basics. How do we teach the basics in a safe and fun manner to grow judo? Right? Because our foundation is the recreational player. From the recreational player, then they become competition players. And if we can't even keep them as a recreational player, we're doing something wrong. And I think, if we can get this program, which teaches good basics, good fundamentals, they talk about physical literacy for kids. Kids today, they can't even do a forward roll.
I spent a month.
Sadly true. Sadly true.
And that's one of the things we teach them, right? Is how to do a forward roll, how to fall safely. And, I think the American Judo program is for the advanced student. I haven't seen any beginner things. So we're sort of starting from the foundation up, Jimmy, he's an Olympic champion. He's in a higher level judo.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I've been to Brian's, Jimmy's, and Travis's, when they've done seminars. And they're phenomenal. I would recommend anybody to go to them. That is looking at a different level of player and a different level of performance. We are trying to grow right from the grassroots up. It's great to aspire to that. So having them as part of judo just enhances what we do and what we want to do in judo. And it's great to see these kind of things happen, because I think a lot of those players have a lot to offer. They just don't get a chance to go out there. They're making the effort to get out there. Let's support them as well. We also have a lot of people who want to learn judo, but they can't learn it at that elite level right away. They've got to start somewhere. So this will help the understanding of parents, volunteers, and everybody else through the AJDM, and they can aspire to that. It gives them a path, for success and all the way to the top.
The reality is there's something out there for everyone, right?
Yes.
And people can look at what they need, and then they can go after what they need. And I think the more that's out there for them, absolutely, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree with you all, because I've looked at Travis's programs on the American Judo System programs, and a lot of it has a lot of focus on grip fighting and like some very advanced variations of classical techniques. And I don't think any white belts should be trying to do any of that stuff.
But they will. They're going to watch the video. They will.
Yeah, and I think,
hey man, it's a YouTube generation, right? I mean, think about jiu-jitsu, right? How many people go, they're on YouTube, they're looking, hey, that sparks the knowledge, that creates the knowledge. But then
Instagram, they're like, I want to try that.
But you know what? There's something out there for everyone. And I think it's great. I think the more that's out there for people, that shows that we're trying to all grow it. Some people's path may go this way with what they're looking. Some people may need this path. The reality is there's a path. And that's a great thing.
So, what I'm trying to say is basically it's not marketed towards recreational players, like you said, but which is funny, because one of the criticisms I've heard of the American, of the AJDM was, even though it's kind of catered towards the recreational players, there's no path defined for recreational players. It seems like you start off recreational and it's kind of pushing you towards the competition path, developing an Olympic athlete path. Like, do you guys have any sort of plans in the future to add more to the recreational side for your 50-year-old mom starting judo for fun?
Well, that's why the AJDM has two parts, and one is age oriented, as far as little kids starting through teenagers through adults, and at stage 4 it splits. At stage 4 it splits to becoming an elite player or being a recreational player, competing occasionally. And stage 5 is judo for life. Are you going to be a recreational player the rest of your life, become a referee, administrator running judo tournaments? So the AJDM sort of addresses that, I think.
What if those paths aren't I don't think everyone wants to referee or do kata or something, right? So is there a path for people who just want to show up every twice a week and just do throwing lines or some kata, or there's a lack of kata in America? That's another thing.
No, I think there's enough kata in America. I think there's enough.
Don't listen to them.
I think there's enough kata in America personally.
Well, again, where it splits at stage 4, that one side is for the recreational player. It's not the guy who's training 5-6 days a week. And then stage 5, it's you're a little bit older and you want to do judo for fun, or again participate as a referee or coach. But it still has that pathway of the recreational player, because not even at the little kid level, very few, if you look at our numbers, very few people actually compete.
Yes.
And
Something like 12%
at a high level, right? And so we can't forget those players that judo is for fun. Judo is recreational, because we need that membership. Everyone talks about what's the national organization doing for me. Well, if we don't have membership, our national organization can't do much at all, right? We have to grow the base. We have to have that big membership at the base to fund our elite players.
That answers my Juan, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't have any more questions. I just wanted to thank each of you for coming on our show, talking about the AJDM, what it was about.
Wait. Because I have other questions. I have more questions.
Do you really?
Man. I was
gonna we're getting the hard stuff now.
This is like, I wrote down some notes based off of what we talked about, and this is kind of delving off topic from the AJDM, if you guys don't mind me asking some of these questions. So for example, you talked about marketing, right? And it seems like even Jimmy Pedro's American Judo system, a lot of sports itself, you mentioned sports in the U.S. is just declining, the participant numbers overall. Have you guys thought about maybe not trying to fight over the same potential athletes and maybe go outside the box and get those people that you might not have tried judo in the first place? Because it seems like everyone's trying to compete over the same after school programs, the same athletic kids that are doing wrestling and doing all these other sports, and kids that are already athletic or has a family that's pushing them to do sports versus going out and marketing towards people who aren't doing sports at all, the people who are just sitting home playing games, watching TV, don't know anything about sports. Have you guys have any initiatives to market towards that kind of demographic?
So one of the things we talked about when we were in Colorado Springs, Chima, help me. Who was the volleyball guy? Was it John?
Yeah, the volleyball guy was definitely, he was talking about how his program started off through camaraderie and building this thing up through the AJDM, and that they were saying cross sports or cross-pollination of these kind of activities is good, because you start off on it's sort of like a friendship circle that builds up, and you get involved in a sport, you get excited by the sport, and then you use that as transition to another sport. When you try to hold on to them through different means, it gets to be, the marketing, it gets to be a problem. Whereas if you open up and say, you acquire these kind of skills by working through this kind of program, you can then transition to, you sort of go from one area to another. And it's not prohibitive. It's inclusive of different sports. It gets you more active because part of your social setup and that group of people who are going through it, they evolved through those different sports together. Those were some of the fundamentals. Now, we didn't delve too much into it, but it was the sign of exclusivity and being able to transition from one sport to the other because you got that skill set. You acquired a skill set or a love for that particular type of physical activity. It wasn't always going towards the elite athletes. We're trying to find the one person in a million who'll become, Brian Olson right now. You just want everybody to have the opportunity to become that.
Yep.
And, I think, I'm a big mindset person, right? So I think, we've had a mindset so long of just the athlete, right? It's just focusing on, I got to create these athletes. I'm going to create the next Jimmy Pedro or Kayla Harrison or Travis or Eddie or Brian or whoever it may be, right? And I think the biggest focus is, okay, how can we get these people on the map? They may not stay with me if they're going to go competitive. They may go to another sport, but this gives them all the tangibles that will help them excel regardless of wherever they go and so forth. And they're always going to have saying, hey, listen, this martial art, judo, gave me the attributes and the abilities and armed me with the necessary things that are going to help me to be better here or here or here. And then hopefully they always will come back to us at some point and so forth. Right. But it's, it's a mindset thing. It's not keeping them saying, oh, I got to keep them specifically here, because the reality is that kids get burned out. Maybe they're being pushed a little bit too hard. Maybe the fun leaves it because they are so focused right here that they don't get this other stuff. And then when that new shiny toy comes in, then they're gone, right? They find something else. So it's encouraging that, right? It's encouraging that, but it's also building your base, building your membership, building your students, helping these academies to grow and be successful. Because at the end of the day, the more people that are on the mat training, the more people that are doing the martial art, whether it be recreational or competitive, right? Regardless, you will see athletes come. You will see. I mean, because you've just increased your net, right? You just expounded that base. So the more people we pull in and we get into the martial arts and we have them doing it, the more people will come. It's just a necessary. It's an evolution piece that will happen. You'll see those people come through, and so forth. We've got to increase the base. We've got to increase the net across the entire platform.
So I totally agree. Maybe I misconstructed my question a little bit.
Can I add to that?
Yes, go ahead. So,
just to add to what Brian and Chima just said, one of the basic principles in the AJDM is multi-sport. And one of the reasons for the multi-sport is, and Brian said this, prevent burnout, and Chima said this, I think, is stress injuries, repetitive stress injuries. And, kids need to be doing different things. And the biggest thing about judo is we're a great feeder program because of the physical literacy and as they already said, giving these kids the skills they need for other sports. And a lot of times they'll come back. But one of the big things is, we were told there's 60 million kids in the United States, 13 and under. And out of that, 25 million of them participate in sports, which means there's 35 million kids out there that we could have doing judo or even other sports. So, we shouldn't be competing, trying to steal each other's athletes.
Right.
There's a huge pool of kids out there who should be, doing judo.
Yes.
So, my question was more of like, it seems like everyone's fighting over the same pie kind of thing. Like they're all trying to shift them around, or like you said, get kids involved. But what about people you never think would have wanted to try judo in the first place?
Well, we started advertising Call of Duty. Okay, that's the first thing we started doing. We started advertising on every Wii. We put USA Judo on every Xbox.
That's a perfect example, though. That is a perfect example. That's what the military is doing. They actually fund Call of Duty game development because they want to recruit these gamers that were never interested in the military in the first place and get them into the military. So, all right, that's a perfect example. I mean, is there any sort of marketing approach to that, or what? I mean, in business, they call it a blue ocean strategy, which is you look for a blue ocean versus going into a red ocean, which is already filled with blood from competing with each other already.
Or sharks.
Yeah.
You just say it, Anthony. Just say it. All right.
I think one of the things we do at Fresno Judo is I have a non-competitive adult class, because if I can get the parents, I got the kids. And my philosophy of this adult class is nobody gets hurt. We all go to work tomorrow. And so we do a lot of throwing. Most of it's on crash mats, or landing mats. And they do a lot of uchikomi. They learn a lot of techniques. We do a lot of newaza, but as far as free exercise, it's limited, or we'll do it passively. We'll do stegeko, where it's passive, moving around and throwing each other. But my adult class, it helps feed my kids program.
Okay. That's the kind of answer I was looking for. Thank you.
Do any of you gentlemen want to say anything else about the AJDM goals, what you guys think about it, or anything else you want to put out there for our audience?
One thing is it's long term. I think Brian mentioned this earlier. I think that's important to understand. The results from this program, it's long term. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be next year. USA Hockey just recently published an article about their program that's in 10 years and how successful. And I think their junior program just won the World Championships, the USA Hockey. They beat Canada, which is in Canada.
Wow. He was like, they beat Canada.
I guess Chima's a hockey fan.
Yeah, I'm an everything fan, but my biggest fanship is in judo for sure. But looking at the AJDM program in Canada as well, I mean, the judo program there started years and years and years ago, and look at the success that they've had on the world scene. I mean, not just what we've had, but if you look at other countries who've invested in that, it's been really phenomenal. So I think we give it a chance. We can't call it, a success. It's too early. We keep developing it. And let's see where it leads us, because other sports programs, other parts of the world, etc., have shown that if they stick with it, retention goes up, the cross-sport stuff goes up, because with that, you take and bring to judo. You take judo with you, or you bring back to judo. And also, the literacy amongst the parents, who are the ones who first put their kids into these different sports, that literacy goes up. One of the biggest challenges we have is parents are somehow geared into success in certain programs. They're taught, they're given instructions that this is the only path to get their kids onto a sports program. The more we can show that there's different types of kids with different kinds of skill levels, and they can all have fun doing these kind of activities, the better it'll be. And AJDM helps you to do that, because parents get more, and the people who are doing judo get more information as to what's going on. It's a little bit more open and accessible.
And Brian, do you have anything final to say?
Yeah, I think, it's, we've all been in this in the martial art for a long time, right? We've seen a lot of different things happen within the sport, within the martial art, within the organizations and stuff. And, I would urge people to understand that this is a marathon. It's going to be the long game. We can't have that overnight success, and we're not going to have the answers right now that says this is how it has to be and this is the way we're going. It's going to take time for us to build it. And I think where we've come is tremendous, but there's a long way to go. And there's a lot of phenomenal people, judoka coaches out there that have phenomenal input. But I want to challenge everyone to work to come to the table, put your hat in the ring for the betterment of judo. Because we need that outlook, right? We need that conversation and that communication to come through. We want their buy-in, and we want people to understand is we want to hear from you. We want to know and so forth. And, but we got to work together. And for me, that's been the biggest thing. And I think that's the reason that's kept me on the task force for so long, is because life can take us in so many different directions, right? We've got so many different things going on there, but the ability of what we've accomplished and how we've done it. And the great thing has been the kind of that guiding light for a lot of us. And I think it's what keeps us interested in knowing that we're creating something special, and we're creating that foundation, right? For whoever succeeds us to be able to take it to the next level. But it's going to take people to commit, and it's going to take people to put their hat in the ring and do it for the betterment of the martial art, right? And so forth. Whether you're a competitor or recreational, it doesn't matter. We need to go we need both directions. So
for the people that are listening who want to provide feedback or have questions or want to, like you say, like contribute, what kind of path, or how do they contact you? Or is there an email for the AJDM, or do they talk to their sensei, or what kind of path do you recommend them to take?
You can go to the AJDM website, and there is an email address there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I would also say if they're interested, whether they're USA Judo, US Judo Federation, or USJA, let their organization know as well. Like say, hey, listen, I'm interested. If you guys need some help here or whatever, that's another great way to get involved, as well.
Okay.
Anthony, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. I think I asked too much questions already.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on our show, talking about the AJDM. It was great to get some explanations about things and know that it's an evolving, what I like to call like a plant sometimes. It's good to build into something big. But I really appreciate this. Thank you. And hopefully maybe this evolves some more. We can have you guys on again, maybe next year or something.
That would be
Sounds great.
Thanks, Anthony.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.
Wow, Anthony, wasn't that a great interview?
I feel like asking many questions, but that's just that's just my engineering mindset. I get yelled at to shut up by my wife all the time. So yeah.
No, I think you had some really interesting stuff. And it's like I said before the interview, you don't know what you don't know. So you got to ask them questions. That's how you can figure shit out. Yep. So same as always, like, share, and subscribe. Please follow us. You can follow me at @Jerry_Juan. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws. Follow us both on Instagram. If you have any questions, send us an email or leave us a comment on our YouTube page. Anything else, Anthony?
Yeah, just leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the interview, whether you have any more questions. You can directly email them. We mentioned the email. The AJDM site has an email, or you can let us know and we'll pass it on or something. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, please. We're always open. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.